Hey, brew tubers. All right, so the Maine Brew Guy, Gary, tagged me for the three-question tag, I guess it is. So first of all, I am very honored, Gary, that you thought of me and added me to your short list, and I will try not to let you down. I like these kind of things because it's a chance to kind of get away from the normal ramble and just kind of chat a bit and you hear a side of you folks that we don't normally get to hear when you're doing your brew days. You're talking about beer. I'm going to talk a little bit about beer, but I'll go a little bit off the normal script too as well. So first of all, the three questions. First one was what three home brewers, brew tubers was your inspiration? So I answered a question that was, I think, similar to this during the Tasty Niche kind of tag. I think that's when it was, and I think that the folks that I gave was obviously Paul Wicksteed. I mean, Paul Wicksteed, when I first started this, he just was a wealth of knowledge. I didn't know him, and unfortunately, I didn't get to really get to know the guy, introduce myself, and start having correspondence. I would have loved to have met that guy. One of the first times I met the homebrewers here in the BrewTube community, I went to the Philadelphia Homebrew Wednesday Homecoming in Philadelphia, and met a lot of you folks, and that was a blast. And God, I wish I would have been able to meet Paul. Certainly gone way too soon. Very sad I didn't get to know him. Just seemed like a beautiful man, but I did one day stumble across his channel, and I think I went on a spree of just watching his videos. It was several hours. I watched as many of his videos as I could. I was just mesmerized with his setup and his personality and his creativity and just his enthusiasm for homebrewing. So it really got me fired up, and I think is one of the main reasons I started getting into electrical homebrewing systems and wanting to do that. So Tony Yates, very similar. He's got a awesome system, and he's just a genuinely really nice guy. And then Under the Table Brewing, especially when it was a father-son tag-up channel, they were pumping out some great videos. Slowed down a little bit. Life's kind of put some miles between them, and they've had a lot going on in the last year or two. But again, I mean, those folks were just so passionate and motivated about their brewing. And there's many other guys. But what I wanted to do was bring up a couple of other guys that weren't necessarily brew tubers. They were homebrewers. The first one was, I used to be in the Army, and one of my last jobs before I retired, I was a battalion commander down in Fort Bragg. And one of my staff officers, this Lieutenant Pierce, I won't give his first name, so I don't know if he wants to get outed on TV, but Lieutenant Pierce, he was my human resources officer, and he comes in one day and he goes, "Hey sir, I heard you like craft beer and you're interested in learning how to homebrew it." I said, "Yeah." So got to talking to him, and then he found out that I was really interested in heady topper, and he just happened to be from Vermont. So he went home and over like Easter, I think, came back and brought me a 4-pack of heady topper, and that did it. That was, once I had heady topper, I was like, I have got to get into this, because the swill I've been drinking, I didn't drink bad beers, but you're drinking the fat tires, and I like craft beer, but I just didn't know there was really, really good craft beer out there. So that, kind of nailed the coffin. And then I still was wanting to do it, but, hadn't really got off my ass and started executing until a good friend of mine, Josh, came over and had dinner, he and his wife, and he brought a 6-pack of homebrew and left me like a Scotch ale and an IPA and a pale. And, I was like, wow, he made these, and that was like, all right, that's it. So I immediately went out and started ordering my initial Igloo homebrew set and all that. So those were my inspirations that kind of got me into it, and all of you guys out there are what's keeping me in it, and it's just a wonderful hobby. And anyone that sees this, if you don't homebrew, you should get into it, because it's so addictive and it's so much fun, and you get to enjoy, as SJ would say, the fruits of your labor when you're done. All right, so the next question, number 2, name 3 things that you are good at. Okay. One thing that I know I'm pretty good at is I am really good at clean fermentation. Now, I'll keep this brewing related. I am really good at clean fermentation. I don't know if it's just because I haven't, really screwed. I mean, I've had one beer I screwed up really bad because I forced a bunch of air into it with an auto siphon, trying to do some crazy shit with a tiered keg, one keg here, and a water filter in the middle, trying to filter it. I don't do any of that crap anymore. I just use gelatin and use muslin bags, and I get it pretty clear. But I was trying to do that, and the gravity wasn't working, so I took an auto siphon and forced it and turned it into cardboard, and it was an Irish red, if I remember. But yeah, I think that I have really clean beers, and I've heard that from several folks that I've exchanged beers with. Like, wow, you know, and when you exchange and you taste other homebrews, you can taste fermentation, you know, residual flavors and odors, and you know, I don't think mine ever have that. I have never, yeah, I don't think I've ever had a beer that had. Sorry if you hear the ring in the background. Somebody's calling. I don't think I've ever had any kind of, I don't want to say off flavors, but any fermentation kind of things like butter and, you know. I did have a beer that I turned in for the National Homebrew Competition, and it came back and they told me I had DMS in it. It was a Munich Helles. I don't know. I think it was, maybe I just wasn't trained in what it tasted like, but maybe I've had that, but I'm generally good at clean fermentation. The second thing is malt bombs. You know, during the Tasty Niche tag, I talked about, you know, what's my favorite beer ingredient? Freaking malt. I love malt. I love malt. I love the smell of malt. I love the taste of malt. I do like hops. I do like yeast, but malt is just really does it for me. And I actually am really good at making malt bombs. I haven't done I've done a lot of malt bombs, but I haven't really sent a lot of malt bombs out to you guys, because normally I'm sending out like old school IPA or you know, I've sent out a bunch of saisons, and it's weird. I haven't done a whole lot of dark beers and mailed them out. I think I may have sent a few porters out, but I can make a hell of a porter, and I haven't done a whole lot of stouts. I generally do nut brown ales and porters and Scotch ales and Irish reds, but I can lay down some malt, and I think I need to send some more of those out and have you guys give me some opinions. So the last thing I think I'm really good at is you know, quality for me is when I jump into something, I don't do it either half-fast or half-assed, however you want to say it. I don't do it half-assed. I go in, you know, both feet first, you know, for better, for worse. And I did that in homebrewing, and I think I am good for this hobby because I am really, really passionate about it. I really, really enjoy it. I hope it comes through in my videos, and you know, I've talked to a lot of you guys on Google Hangouts, and I think I'm a good cheerleader for this hobby and for this community. I really love the community. I love our low lupulin support group. I like it. You know, sometimes on a weekend we get on a Google Hangout and have way too many beers and have a hangover the next morning. But yeah, I just love this hobby. It's just a lot of fun, and I think I'm good at being a good, enthusiastic, passionate member. So now, third question is to name 3 things that I'm excited about. So last night before I went to bed, I got up and I said, you know, I had a little bit of extra money in my PayPal account, thanks Kyle, and I said, you know what, I'm going to order a pH meter. I really want to get into, you know, measuring my pH. I've never done that before. I don't know if it's because my water profile or whatever, but I'm not able to get as much of a dankness on my dry hopping that I want to. So I'm thinking the only way I can get more of that hop forward character is maybe it's my pH, you know, maybe it's something on the water. So and I just want to, you know, if I make different beer styles, I want to be able to get it as close to what the water is supposed to be, the water conditioning. So I ordered that last night. I don't know how long it's gonna take Amazon to get it here, but you know, I ordered, I don't know, I didn't order the super top end $300 one, and I didn't get the $30 one. I got like a $100 pH meter, so I'm excited to get that thing in. More technology for this lab is not a bad thing. It's always a good thing. I'm also excited about the SJ Pour competition and how it plays out. I'm in the first round right now. I've got my second round bottles here, just have been sitting. Like, I made a beer style that it could sit for a while and be okay, but they've been sitting for a while. They're like in the door, ready for the jump light and ready to jump out. So I'm anxious to see how this first round goes, and I hope I get to the second round and And even if I don't, I'm looking forward to see how this year plays out, because it's a very, as much as I bitched about it, it's a very interesting competition. There's not as many people this year. I think the format, and a lot of guys had a lot of stuff going on. I think, you know, it was a little more challenging this year in terms of schedule, and, you know, some folks are pretty busy. So, but anyway, I'm really interested to see how this one turns out, and I'm also excited about not just the SJ Port Challenge, but also our community is, you know, talking about doing a lot more experiments, you know, closing out the year, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm also, the last thing I'm looking forward to is, I have been watching the New to Homebrew Tom, you know, and his Coconut Shy PA Challenge and leaderboard. I've been wanting to make that beer for a while, just haven't got off my butt and done it. So I'm excited to go, and now that he's posted the recipe, getting the ingredients and throwing that thing together. It sounds like a beer that I would just go, you know, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know, I think I would really enjoy that beer, so I'm excited to brew that. But there you go. There's my 3 excited things. All right, so I've answered my 3 questions. Hope I did you proud, Gary. And oh no, by the way, don't know if you're moving soon or whatever, but wish you best of luck with all that. Now, so I have to tag 3 brewers. I'm going to tag the first guy. I just recently bought some Riptide pumps, and I had my other 2 chugger pumps, and I kind of threw it out there. Hey, if anybody's looking for some pumps, you know, I don't want these things to go to waste. So Lucky 13, Kyle, came up on the net and said, hey, you know, do you still have the pumps? And I'm like, yeah. But then it took forever to get the second pump in. They were back ordered, and so I you know, hung on to it for a while. But I just finally got those out the door, and Kyle's got them. And, you know, I don't know if he wants me to say his last name, so I won't. But he's I don't know if he's put them in system yet or anything. He's got them. I found out that I'm supposed to be oiling those things. I've had them for 2 years and never oiled them. So sorry. I'll tell you another secret. I never was able to get the screws off to clean them either. So I'll apologize in advance. I did run hot water through it all the time, and so it shouldn't be a bunch of stuff in there. So if there is, I don't know. I can't say it wasn't me, because it was me. So anyway, I'm interested. I've been watching some of his videos, and his latest homebrew Wednesday. He's kind of getting back into brewing after a while, and he's in this little apartment in Chicago, I think, and he's kind of talking about how his setup makes it, you know, a little more challenging than his dad's house. But anyway, I'm really interested to hear. He seems like a neat guy, and I'd like to hear, you know, kind of how he, you know, got into the hobby and what his influences are, and, you know, things that he's good at. So I'll put you on there, Lucky 13. Hope you see this. Also, Northern Accent, Josh, man, where the hell are you? I know you had the baby. I know you guys were busy for a while. I know you went to the National Homebrew Convention, because I saw photographic evidence. So I know you're back in the mix. I'm anxious to see you, back down there in the basement doing your thing, and really want. We you know, we've exchanged some beers, and, you know. He's a Packers fan, I'm a Redskins fan, and his guys always knock my guys out of the playoffs. But anyway, I'm anxious to hear, you know, how you got into the hobby, and also just catching up with you, find out what's going on. So consider yourself tagged, Josh. And then lastly, Carl from the Floor Sweepers Union, previously, and I think maybe he changed his name because people had a hard time pronouncing. I still can't pronounce it. It's some kind of New Zealand name. I got the country right, or I got the continent right this time, Carl. So I'm interested in hearing his influence, and he's got a lot of stuff going on. I think he's an educator, he's a fisher, he's a kind of almost like a Buckaroo Banzai kind of guy. So he's a very interesting character, and I'd like to hear, you know, his inspirations and what he's good at and what he's excited about. So consider yourself tagged, Carl. So there you have it. I didn't tell you I'm drinking a Saison right now. I picked up the Saison from the local bottle shop, my go-to. It's called this Ardent is a brewery from Richmond. It's just a Saison, no sexy name or anything, farmhouse style. 6.7%, IBUs are 25.5. It's got a really cool label. I'm digging this label. It's kind of like it almost feels like leather. It's really cool. And the bottle reminds me of Boulevard, you know. But anyway, I'm really getting into Richmond beers, although this Saison, I mean, it's good, but I think I make pretty good Saisons. So anyway, that's my video. That's my tag. I'll try to get this up tonight. Have yourself a great weekend. Stay out of trouble, and go Redskins. Cheers.